Hi, once again, it's Kara with Wowzers, and we're looking at another aspect of our program. In this particular clip, we're looking at the third tab over from the left called the Manage tab, which is a very useful part of what our program is and how teachers can use the information within their classroom and their students' activities and data. So you'll notice here as an example, a little bit different than the previous clips here, we're accessing Jody Cozy's account. And the reason that we're using this name might look familiar from our demo, the reason we're using Jody Cozy's account is because she does have data populated in here and sample students here who have gone through the program. It's important with the Manage tab because what we're going to do is look at sample data and sample classes and look how we can add to it or even change students' passwords. Most important here within this tab. So again, back up to the top here, third from the left, go to Manage. We will get to Student Roster in just a moment. The next listed here in the Manage tab, just to kind of give you a point of reference here, this is where a teacher would review extended responses. This is where rubrics are available. Teachers can look at students' responses, obviously here, and then make grading and judgment using the rubric and the guide that teachers are provided with. Usage report is exactly what it states there. It does show how often and how long a student does use Wowzers. Sometimes it's important for teachers. I will tell you on our side, on the Wowzer side, we do look at that. We do value the time that students use with our program and on what activities. The next is view scores. Now this is kind of interesting because it's another way teachers can view the data that's been gathered on students and their performance. We'll invite you to try that on your own. We won't be getting into that in this particular clip. On to the next one here, edit the name of your class or archive. So in looking at this, you certainly can change the name of your classroom or put it into our archives here if you're not going to utilize that data on a regular basis. Not used so often by teachers, but that option is there in Manage. So this is really how you take, you're beyond the program, you're beyond just the grade book, you're beyond just looking at the path or your plan book. Right now you're looking at all of those little pieces. Where are you going to arrange the little tiny details? Making sure that students have passwords, making sure that you can look at scores and see them in the most organized way that's going to work best for you. So going back up to the top here, I'm going to access the student roster. So when I do that, initially what you'll see here is information here that you could have utilized if you wanted to upload your students yourself. Some of our teachers have done that. If you want to bypass that, we'll just go immediately down to where your students are listed here. First things first, this is a rather short class. One of the easiest things to do is if you get a new student in your class, very easy to add. You would just click on Add Student here and input the student's first name, last name, and the password as an option. If you're using a common password for all of your students, such as Wowzers, you would type that in here. We always kindly remind teachers to save those changes and then download them so that the so that the teacher can access what the username and the password is for a student. So say for example here we use say sample and then I put down here student. And I'm going to use the password Wowzers. So this is an added student that I've placed in here. Saving those changes, it does take just a moment. And then you'll see here a little warning sign, just kind of a friendly warning, but certainly one that you should utilize. We're going to download that PDF. Now what downloading does for you is it allows you to save what the username and password is for that individual student. So now when we look at this, and it's taking a moment here to generate, you'll see that this student, sample student that we have here, samples 16 is going to be the username for the student that I happen to add on here, and again using the word Wowzers. Very easy way to add additional students onto your class list. The other point that I do like to make as we're here Let me go back into the Manage tab here and back into the student roster. What you see listed here, once again, just bringing you back to that starting point, is that the passwords are not filled out here for students. So if a student happens to lose their password, or if a teacher needs to generate a list of passwords for his or her class, this is the place to go. So say for instance you've misplaced it, or you've decided, you know, I want everyone to use the same password. What you can do is come here and enter in, say it's wowzers again. Enter in wowzers, copy, and then paste that for every single student. Again, going all the way down, an easy way to recall or replace a given password, also another way to generate a list of usernames and passwords for your class. Same procedure, click on Save Changes, and that document will be downloaded to your computer on command once you hit that button, or also it will appear before your screen and you can write that down into your gradebook. So those are the highlights of the Manage tab.